that are more modern than others that might trip you up. Like if you want to set up a secure website, what protocol would you use to set up that web page or that website to be secure? Right? So this is a tricky one because the first answer that is there, everybody clicks on immediately, SSL, and they get it wrong. What is the protocol that we use today? HTTPS is just a extender to the port 443.
TLS?
Huh?
Is it TLS?
TLS. So they do get kind of nitpicky there. The CIA triad, confidentiality, availability, integrity, there are definition questions on. Also as to what is like the goals of each. Definition of residual risk. Which protocol addresses reliable transport? Why do, and we talked about this one too, why do organizations make, actually, so I'm getting this class confused with the other one, I apologize. We didn't talk about anything because you just have to read it. I'm doing the same thing tomorrow night with them, I apologize. Absent-minded professor here. In the book, in the reading, why do you make employees take mandatory vacation? So that's almost verbatim off of the quiz. Definition of a risk. What should a risk be? What must it be? What does it have to be? You might see a question or two as to what layer of the OSI model does this individual protocol fall on? SMTP, FTP, things of that nature, TFTP. What's resistant to tapping? Most resistant to tapping, what type of media? Know what network sniffing is and what do you do with it? How does it work at a high level? Know what an access control is. Know what they do. Some general definitions. What's a mandatory access control? That's the one I think they can get the most of. Physical security vulnerabilities. We talked about those just as. Excuse me again. That is in the chapter 2, the second section. Actually, I think it's also in another section of the book that we haven't gotten to yet. Also biometrics. What's the definition of risk management and how does risk management handle the cost of countermeasures? That was in the lecture piece. I know you guys didn't have lecture in here, but that second section, we talked about how you identify a risk, you calculate a risk, and everything else. There's definitions about roles as well. So like, who determines whether information systems are in compliance with an organization? An auditor, right? Definition of a firewall. They go over some of the things in that risk calculation, annual loss expectancy, single loss outcome. Definition of network security. Definition of a discretionary access control. What makes up a firewall? Okay, I went over probably 40 of the 50 questions that were there. All right, and the other 10 are probably duplicates in some way or the other ones. So that's kind of a generalization of what is on the quiz. All right, again, let me look at the setup. I think you have an hour for 25 questions, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm any questions? Yes, sir?
This is chapter 1 and 2 or chapter 1, 2, 3 quiz?
It encapsulates some of chapter 3. We haven't gotten to that yet, but I think there's general stuff in there.
Okay.
But I'll be very honest with you. Some of it is review from what you've had in other classes. I mean, if you don't know the OSI model by now, something's wrong.
Gotcha.
Right? If you don't know what constitutes TCP/IP and some of the sub-protocols by now, something's wrong. Okay? And it's generalized. I mean, they're not making you do IP subnetting or asking you specific CVE or anything like that. It's not
Okay.
that technical.
Sweet.
Even when we get to that section, it's not that technical. Okay, any other questions? All right, so. Woo. The person whose flash I have, come get it. The small little itty bitty one. Do this as fast as I possibly can. Uh-oh. Did you give me a USB that has cuties?
No.
It's brand new.
Brand new. Is it formatted?
No. I mean, I just bought it.
I'm gonna format it for you.
That's fine. You want to get access?
No, I got it. Can I format it? Yeah, you're set it.
That's actually really
If you're gonna give me a USB, make sure it's NTFS, not FAT, because these files are stinking huge.
Hmm?
Alright, so next thing's next. I've gotta I'm gonna go over homework 3 next. I'm still fighting with all these dadgum access points. Formatted for NTFS?
Yeah, I just did it.
Awesome. USB 3, yeah, it's USB.
Yeah, that's fine. Hmm? Hmm? He's about to go over the homework.
Go super fast until it hits the 3 point something gig file.
Yeah.
Why is it that FAT32 can't do large files?
Because of the way that it is set up for its sector sizes. Oh, that takes me back like way back. How hard drives used to be set up with sectors and cylinders and all kinds of stuff. Alright, anyway, so I was monkeying and toying around with
Hey, when he's done, go get it. That's actually it is. Chill, bro. I got you.
same time trying to keep the projector running.
Next time?
So
For what?
I was gonna reboot this, but I didn't get to it.
How much you pay for that?
Costco for $60.
How big?
210. It's not bad.
I don't know.
I'll be darned, I got to work. Cool. So the next question is. Ah, there it was. Cool. Yeah, update that. All right, good. So we can start on the wireless thing while I'm transferring files. Let me just move this thing over here. Throw this cable away. Yeah. I think it's mine. I'll work on the cable. Still transferring. All right. No, I got this to work the other day. I had witnesses in the telecom lab. So it better work tonight or I'm gonna be really mad. Go away.
Yeah, give it to him. He has mine. Yeah. That's what's transferring right now.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I cannot hear you. Speak
You
up.
do the format, you said NTFS?
Yeah. Don't format it if it's already installed though. Because I just remembered, actually you might not have to use NTFS on this one because the files, I did a multi-file drive, not a single file drive, so it actually might work. Think about that. I did that for a specific reason. Alright, so. Cool. Linksys.
You can't do that, right?
This thing's got, oh.
Once it's going, it's going. Once it's going, it's
This
going.
one, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Soon as I get this thing, I have to force it. There it goes. All right. Sorry this is taking so long. I think this room is easy. Ah, that's why. That's no good. Alright. How we coming along with my USB floating around there?
We're getting around.
Good, good, good. Let's get something fixed today.
Good, good.
Whose is this?
Right here? Yeah.
Did you do ZenMap or NMap?
Hmm?
Did you do a ZenMap or NMap?
Zen.
This one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, you need your computer's IP. Is that your computer's IP?
That's what it was.
Then yeah. You drop your firewall? Damn, it's so fast. No, you gotta go to your firewall. So, yep.
Why are you not working? I think there might be something wrong with this network.
Okay.
Because I did it in the telecom
Is
lab.
there-
Might have to go over there to show you this.
Okay.
Alright.
And then go to
Let's do this.
the Zen.
All this is
And then
warming
What
up.
do I put for here again?
Okay.
your computer's IP.
Once you download the file that is getting passed around, you want to find out where your virtual machines are. Okay, so with my default installation of VMware Workstation 12, mine ended up under Documents, my username, Users, my username, my Documents, Virtual Machines. That's where they all are. So the folder that I sent you is entitled CIS 471 Target 1. Throw it in there just as is. Just as is. Alright? When you open up, I did one little change on this, and it's by design because I'm going to trust everybody. And I didn't put any crazy stuff on this system. So you will go into your target system in the settings. Excuse me, let me back up. to get it in, because when you open up VMware, it will not show up in your list. Okay? You will go to File, Open, find out where that is, Documents, Virtual Machines, right? You're gonna look for the VMware Virtual Machine Configuration. You're gonna actually look for, I believe that's, yeah, the VMware Configuration, all right? And you're gonna click Open. And it's gonna say, oh, did you move it or did you copy it? You're gonna say, oh, I copied it. I've already done that.
We're gonna say it's copied?
Huh?
We copied
Yeah, you
it.
copied it. You did not move it. You copied it. You'll have that question. Yeah?
Random question. What is the difference? Yeah, I always see that pop up when I use VMware.
I am not 100% sure, but I always say copied in case there's any type of parameter that looks to the old directory structure where that machine was on my system, so that my username would go in there somewhere. So instead of it going under your new directory. That's what I think it has to do with it. Okay? And I've always had just that much luck saying copied, not moved. Alright? So once you get it in, okay, I have it set up to use NAT, just like you've been using your Kali box. Alright? You're still behind your NAT and your firewall at home and whatever, so that's okay. You're not going to be doing too much from an attack perspective anyway, because it won't work if you're natting. So once that's all done, I have it set up for 2 gigs of memory, 2 processors, 20 gig hard disk, which is actually about 8.1, 8.2 usable right now. Okay. You should be able to support this. I hope you. If not, if you only have a single core processor, you might have to drop that down to 1. But I highly doubt anybody has that right now. Okay. Go ahead and power it on. All right, and you will not have to do anything. Just power it on, let it turn on. Alright. While that's powering on, you can come over here and power up your VM, your Kali VM. Again, it's on that. You're going to land on the same network. Alright, you just got to find what IP address it is. Alright, so while that's working, let's go ahead and the assignment, read the assignment, that's always a good thing. One thing my wife always hates about me when we get anything at the store or at IKEA, I'll bring it home and I'll start putting it together. She's like, aren't you gonna read the directions? I'm like, no, never. I'm a pen tester, I don't read directions, I don't follow directions. All right. Assignments. So this is homework week 3, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. All right. So here you'll be attacking a Windows 2008 server provided in a VM to you. All right. Copy the VM to your virtual machines directory. Went over that. Copy your VM network settings for the Windows and Kali VMs. Okay, they can be on host only. I'm gonna let you know right now. It can also be on NAT. As long as they're on the same network, it doesn't matter. Okay, I put the Windows box on NAT so you wouldn't have to change anything. You don't have to change anything, so you can skip this that step. Okay, just make sure both machines are on the same network. You need to find your IP and the IP of your target. Okay, so here's how you do that. Go to your Kali box, log in, If I'm going too fast, somebody throw something at me and slow me down. I'm okay with that. Open up terminal. Find your IP. Who knows how to find their IP in Linux? ifconfig or ifconfig. Good. So my IP is 192.168.226.136. Right? So logically, you can do this a couple of different ways. You need to find this Windows Server IP address. Okay? Now, you're lucky because you only have to find one IP. So, there's a couple different ways you do it. You can look at your net mask. Wow. So, how many IPs are on that network? Anybody? How many potential IPs are on that network? 254.
Yeah, that's
254. That's a lot of IPs to even attempt to scan. Okay? So what I would do is, I'm at 136. I know I'm in a DHCP scope. I gave it away. I can like ping myself. So I'm on the network. I can be like 137. No. 38. No. 139. Hey, I got replies. So you might not be able to go up. You might want to go down. 35, 34, 33. Depends on where it landed in the DHCP pool. Okay? Once you find that IP, go back to the thing. Do an nmap scan of it. And an OpenVOS scan. Save your PDF report. Okay? So, I'm looking for a few different things here. Your nmap scan and your ZenMap. Your nmap scan or ZenMap scan. Okay? That's one. Now, I'm telling you to do an OpenVOS scan. You don't get any points for an OpenVOS scan. You should do an OpenVOS scan. Okay? You really, really, really should. Alright? I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so you guys have done an nmap scan, OpenVOS scan, right? Or not nmap scan, ZenMap scan. Information gathering, ZenMap. Throw it in here, 192.168.226.139. I know that too well because I've been working on this all night. Get ready. So, hit scan. It's going to take a couple minutes. Now, point to make. Typically, if you do this in the wild, okay, even on a system that is behind a firewall and you're local, you should never see that many ports. You really shouldn't. Okay? This is really, really, really dumbed down, simplified. Okay, everybody, welcome to Pen Testing Kindergarten 101. Okay, I put this together to try to make it easy. A lot of low-hanging fruit. A lot of vulnerabilities in this Windows box. Okay, how do I know that? Well, one, I built it. Two, how do you know that? Look at all these doggone open ports. Okay, now, let me tell you just a little philosophy of pen testing, of hacking, okay? Anybody want to care to guess what my favorite hacking tool is? What do you think my favorite hacking tool is? Nobody? Huh? Ettercap? No. No. A web browser. I'm not lying. I learned so much from a web browser. It's ridiculous. Okay? I also, doing the reconnaissance part, and you've heard me, you've heard other instructors harp on you all the time. You need to know your ports, you need to know your ports, you need to know your ports, you need to know your ports. I can probably name half of those. Can you? I can tell you which different applications relate, or different types of applications for even a single port relate to that scan. Now, the scan is done, so screenshot, 25 points. That's the easy 25 points. Because guess what? You've already done this before on your own system. You just gotta find the other IP of your target once you get it loaded. Once you turn it on, don't be that student that emails me at 9 p.m. on Sunday. Hey, I can't find the target, Dr. Brown. I'm like, okay, well, did you load the file? Yeah, I moved the file, I copied the file, okay. Well, did you turn the virtual machine on? I don't get a response for like 20 minutes. I respond back, did you turn the virtual machine on? Oh, I got it done, Dr. Brown. It's always one. It's okay. Don't also, if you do break into the box, do not be the student that actually goes in and fixes the box, because you will still need to use this box like in week 2 and week 3, and don't do Windows updates. Okay? Don't turn on the firewall. Obviously the firewall's off on this thing. Alright, so there you go. One of the other tools that you can use, and there's a lot of different tools. Alright? But do an open box scan of this box. Alright? Find some vulnerabilities. So I can do a open box start. That's rolling up. I also want to start my PostgreSQL service. Oh. Oh, that's yours. Okay, good. Pass them around, guys. Please ensure you get this this server. All right. And PostgreSQL.
Pass it down. This fool.
Okay, so again, 2 services that you really want to get familiar with that you need to start when you go into Kali. OpenBoss, obviously, if you're going to do any scanning with OpenBoss. And then your PostgreSQL service PostgreSQL start. Okay? That one's important for the next tool that we're going to go over, called Armitage. It's this little, like, crazy anime looking character dude with glasses and a headset on. So that icon, click on it. You can also find it through applications, exploitation tools. Okay. So when it pops up, keep the default port. Your default user and password were there at the time of installation. Click connect. All right. You will get an error here. Go ahead and start mode as well. You will get an error here if you do not start this PostgreSQL service. So if you try to start Armitage and you don't have that started, you're going to get an error screen. It takes a minute or so to pop up. All right, and while that's going, come back to that skin. You guys are gonna have enough to do this week. I'm gonna forego the wireless one more week. Don't worry, there'll be plenty of time. Oh. Post 2, so go ahead and go.
there.
All right. So again, like what you did with the homework last week, what's the first thing you have to do in OpenBoss if you want to do a scan on something? You've got to define a
Target.
no. What do you do before the task?
Target.
Define the target. Why? Why would you define a target? Because it has a different IP address. Good job. Good job. Excellent. Excellent. So doesn't matter. Homework 3 through 5. Arbitrary. Oh, I'm goofing up. I need a target. Target. So, CIS 471, target 1. But the IP address here where it says host manual, now, remember last week when I said, hey, your port list you can keep very, very simple, doesn't really matter. Now, you want to be a little more detailed. Okay? So, I would probably go through your TCP and UDP ports inherently. Alright? You can do the top one, you know, INMAP 551 and top 1000. You can look at, you know, other ones. I would go ahead and do the TCP and UDP. That's going to be like 130,000 ports. Okay? We would not get through that in this class period. All right? I'm going to do, for the purposes of time, the TCP, INMAP 551, and top 1000 UDP. Scan config default. Create target. Go to my tasks. New task. Homework 3. CIS 471, homework 3. Target. Make sure you pick the right target. Now, the scan config, I would at least do full and very deep. Okay, full and very deep. Okay. Don't worry about the other pieces. It's fine. Create task. Back to scan management. You see your new task. Kick it off whenever you want to. Now, if you do all those IANA ports, UDP and TCP, and when I actually do a pen test, that's what I select. Okay? I will do full and very deep unless I'm authorized to do denial of service attempts. And I will do full, very deep, ultimate. Okay? So I want to get as large of a footprint as I possibly can. Alright? If I am scanning a network where I know there's an IPS, I will lower my number of strings and target and per targets that I'm scanning. Space it out. I usually will set this up in an AWS cloud instance, okay, and an Amazon Web Services instance that I have. And I'll just turn it on, and it depends on how many IP addresses I'm scanning. All right, if I'm scanning a very small scope, very small customer, might be a weekend, 4, 6 IPs. If I'm scanning a large customer, I have dozens, hundreds of IPs. That thing might run a couple of weeks. Okay? Again, you find that out when you go through the scoping process of the engagement. Okay? That's one of the things that a lot of people who start working at Rapid7, start working at Cylance, start working at some of these pen testing companies, you just don't go out and like start selling stuff on your own. You don't. You will have a seasoned salesperson go with you that has worked on this. All right? one of the things that they should tell you is a minimum engagement for a large enterprise customer is going to be at least 30 days. At least 30 days. They say we're doing a pen test this weekend on Boeing, okay? Once you're done laughing, walk out of the room, okay? Because old boy doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay? So, as you see, as I'm, talking here, I can go ahead and set this auto refresh like every 30 seconds or so. Hey, it's already scanning. I'm at 1%. Lovely. Actually, it'll go up a lot faster, but it hasn't picked up any ports yet. Give it time. We'll come back to it. All right. So let it do its thing. All right. In the meantime,
Oh, that's the professor. Oh.
we can go back to Armitage here. Oh, ignore that guy. That's old. I'm crushing my processor right now. Okay. All right. So what Armitage is it's a skin, it's a UI for Metasploit. Okay. So about 33% of what you can do in Metasploit, you can actually do through Armitage because they already have the modules preloaded. Now, the other 68, 70%, you can actually do through Armitage, but what you're going to do is you're going to drop down a command line anyway. All right, from a command line in the skin.
Oh, that's our one to use.
Got mine? Anybody else need it? There you go. There you are. All right, so one of the things you can do from Armitage is, guess what? You can do an nmap scan. That's actually a good first step. So you can go ahead up here and go to hosts, nmap scan. And look, it's just like ZenMap, NMap. So I would do an intent scan plus UDP, because that will actually give you UDP ports as well. Enter in the IP address of the target, which you've already found out. Okay, and you're fortunate because you're only scanning one host. Again, if you're doing a large network, this will take a while. All right? Patience is a virtue in hacking. Okay? If you're a very impatient person, right? If you're the type of person that goes on and you downloaded the latest DLC of a game and then you go online and find out the walkthrough for it, you're just not the profession for you. Just saying. Okay. So, you will actually discover a lot of your TCP ports very quickly. All right, 3306. So, a lot of these ports, they should look familiar, or you should start recognizing what a typical fingerprint of different systems are. This takes time, it takes a little bit of experience, okay? I can immediately tell that this is a Windows box. Anybody know why? Anyone guess why I know it's a Windows box?
Certain ports.
Certain ports. Great. What port? Are ports.
3389.
Huh?
3389.
3389? Okay. I would actually say 135, 445, 139. That's NetBIOS and SMB. Now SMB could be on a Linux box. All right, but typically when you see net BIOS running in conjunction with 445. I know what type of server it is. Let's see, has it popped up yet? Okay. Can I ascertain what possible services or what possible roles are running on this box? Now, it hasn't gotten to it yet, so I'll pop back to the ZenMap scan what reports here. Okay. Obviously, now it says, "Oh wow, this is Microsoft," but look at there. ZenMap's so nice; it tells you what it is. Windows 2008 server, enterprise without Hyper-V, Service Pack 2. Woo! It's running Service Pack 2. Interesting. Or is it? Okay. There's a lot of things on here that you can try from vulnerability working. I put at least good 3 or 4 on there, all right, to try to crack this box, because that's your second step, and that's going to be the hard part this week, guys. Okay, you've got to break into the server, crack into the server. Now, I do not state that you have to get root privileges. I do not state that you have to get into a root shell. Okay, if you can, great. But if you just get into the system as a user, any user, that's good. Okay? So, here's the fun part. In Armitage, oops, okay, away. It's still running its Nmap scan because I did all those UDP. It's doing the UDP scan now. All right, so 10 minutes remaining. What? Good grief. All right. I would still do that scan. Let me go ahead and import the host. Add the host. Okay.
Thanks, I think I got it.
You can also manually add the server like I just did, but it's easier if you go through the Nmap process. Thank you. Anybody else need this? Went once, went twice, sold. All right. So once it goes through the scan process, it finds all the different open ports. Okay. You can then go to hosts and attacks, and go find attacks. It will analyze potential exploits based on what it finds from those open ports. Okay. Pay also particular attention. Once you get the complete, you can then right click, and now my menu, after I right click on it, I have an attack menu. I have all kinds of cool stuff in here. All right. Fun stuff. Okay. I can go into these. check out different exploits. Like try the MS09 one here. Or, alright. Typically, if you're going to try to get a root shell or any type of a shell, you want to use a reverse connection. You want to ensure that your IP is on there correctly, which it is on 136. Alright. Sometimes, hey, you might get lucky. Sometimes, maybe not. Okay. There are other things, other mechanisms are means that you can go about. Like I said, one of my favorite things is a web server, or excuse me, a web browser. Okay, just throw that in there. Huh. Well, that kind of stinks. Wasn't port 80 open? Back to my scan. Huh, 80 wasn't open. That kind of sucks. Oh, hey, 8080's open. That sometime hosts up web services, right? Right. Colon 8080. That's how you bring up a different port on an IP address or URL. Oh my goodness, it's an Oracle page. Glass Flash server. If there's any vulnerabilities on this one. Okay. Also look at other scan is taking forever. You just have to be patient with it. It's gonna work, just gotta be patient with it. Alright. Other attacks. FTP attack in there you might be able to find. I forget which one it is though. I tried one, it didn't work. Maybe it's that one. Maybe it's not. Nope. Anyway, have fun with this one. Alright. And actually, I gotta do some testing on it. I built this one rather quickly. One of the reasons I built this one from scratch is the one that I had used. I used it for like almost a year. People already knew what a lot of stuff that I had in there. Okay? But all I'm looking for is for you to get into the system as a simple user, not as a domain admin, not as a command shell, just get into it some way, somehow. Okay? You can also brute force it. There are a lot of different brute force tools that you can use. Hydra is one of my favorites. You have this in a later date and time. If you use it now, that's fine. .139. Port, you can get that port from your list, right? See, I saw 5900 was there. But you know what port 59 is? That's B and C. So you can look up how to do this. Typically, I can go with the password list. Let's see, there. Oh, I have to tell it what user I want to use. So, what's a common user that's usually on all Windows systems?
Admin.
Admin or administrator? Then on start.
Do not use in military.
Something is amiss.
I'm kind of lost now.
It's not a Cisco device, you sucker. There. So you can try to brute force it with this. There's other. Other different protocols that you can try as well. That's just one. Alright? So have fun with it. Pay attention to the announcements. I may throw you a couple of hints this week. This is actually a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. Oh, I know what happened. I actually threw a service pack on it that I shouldn't have. That actually acts a lot of vulnerabilities. So, whoops. It's okay. There's still vulnerabilities there. Might have to throw you a couple of hints though. It's all right. If I ever get this wireless thing to work, I'll be happy.
I'm like,
It's not hooking into the internet correctly. We'll try to show up early next week to get that running. So next week we'll continue on this path. This is what we have to look forward to. I may update the image, so please bring your USB again with you next week. Worst case, I'll give you an extra week to do these homeworks. I mean,
sweet.
no big deal. I apologize for that. I should have done a little bit more testing.